This is my intermediate algebra course. Today you're going to take the fourth test of the course. In the previous class we did a practice test together and I gave you a practice test for homework. Don't take this test unless you've finished those practice tests. If you take this test and you fail it, then that means that all the work that I put into writing the test will be for nothing. So the absolute minimum that you need to prepare for this test is to complete those two practice tests. But remember, if you want to get a really good score, then you need to go back and study every variation of every problem that we did. Now, I may have mentioned in the previous class, I don't care how long it takes you to finish this test. It may take you an hour, it may take you 5 hours. That's really not important to me. What's important is that you can finish the test without any help from anybody. No notes, no internet, no textbook, no help from anybody. You need to do this from memory. But just be aware that you should probably try to finish this test within maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, because in school you're not going to be given 3, 4, 5 hours. The primary purpose of this course is to teach you the material, not necessarily force you to do it in a particular time, although, like I said, you need to get used to getting this stuff done within a reasonable amount of time. So you want to really try to get it done in maybe 1 to 2 hours. So that said, let's take screenshots of the test. Here's screenshot number 1 and screenshot number 2. And screenshot number 3 and number 4 and number 5 and number 6 and number 7. So at this point, clear your desk. You should have only a pencil and paper and maybe a timer and your calculator. It's better to use your graphing calculator, but remember, don't use the calculator for anything other than the simple calculations like logarithms and whatnot. Don't use your calculator to graph. You don't really need the calculator to graph the relations and the functions. You can do that without the calculator. And you don't want any help, no help from the internet or anybody. You need to do this from memory. So that said, go ahead and stop the video and take the test, and when you're done, you can push play at this point. So go ahead and pause the video and take the test, and I'll see you when you come back. Okay, we're back. At this point you should have finished the test, and we're going to look at the answers, but don't look at the answers until you finish that test. If you just write the answers, and that really doesn't prove that you learned anything. You need to show that you can pass a test without just writing the answers. So here are the answers. That's screenshot number 1 and screenshot number 2 and screenshot number 3. So you have the answers, but before you score your test, let me give you some guidelines on how to do that. Of course, each problem is worth 4 points for a total of 100 points. And if a problem has 4 parts, you can make each part worth 1 point And if a problem has 2 parts, each part would be worth 2 points, and so on and so forth. You can give yourself partial credit if most of the work is correct, but you just made a small error, maybe in the final answer. You need to rectangle your final answers. If your answers are graphs, then obviously you don't have to rectangle that. You do need to write units. Some of these problems required dollars, millimeters, and maybe there were some other problems I forget, but you need to have the right units in your answer or else you'll lose points. And of course there are some problems where you have to round off. If you did not round off correctly, then you need to subtract points for that. You need to write your name, of course, and the date and the course title. If you don't do that, then you're certainly going to lose points, because that's what would happen in school. Teachers really don't like that when you don't write your name or the date or the course title. So that said, go ahead and score your test, and maybe I'll leave these guidelines here. Score the test, pause the video. Your score should be between 0 and 100, or possibly 100 if you got a perfect score. So pause the video, score your test, and when you come back, push play, and I'll go over how to grade your test. Okay, we're back. So if you scored 90 to 100, of course, that's an A. That means that you did excellently. If you scored 80 to 89, that means you did very well. That's a B in the United States grading system. If you scored 70 to 79, that means you did well, but there's quite a few things you need to work on. If you scored a B, then that means there's a few things you need to work on, but you know it mostly. But a C means there's quite a few things you need to work on, but you still did okay. Anything less than a 70 means that in most cases you probably just didn't study enough. You didn't know what you were doing. Remember, like I said, you need at least 2 days to study for these tests, and if you didn't do those practice tests completely and correctly, then you may not have really known what you were doing. So if you did well, good job. If you didn't do well and you're consistently scoring poorly on the test, then that means you need to change something. But if you did well, if you scored in the green, I'm proud of you. Good job. And I'll see you in the next class.